Senior Day and Alumni Appreciation Day here at Rutgers as the highly motivated Maryland Terrapins take their act on the road with a stopover in Piscataway to battle a possible record-setting crowd and the Scarlet Knights, who carry the nation's longest home win streak into Lacrosse on Big Ten Network. A very pleasant welcome to you. Along with Mark Dixon, I'm Joe Beninati. Rutgers is ruthless inside of SHI Stadium. They've won 16 in a row here, Mark. The party's been raging in the parking lot all day. What type of atmosphere do you anticipate?
I think it's going to be off the charts electric. 4,100 pre-sold tickets, and they're expecting about 2,000 to 2,500 walk-up. This place will be rocking. To your point, I wasn't able to find a parking space 2 hours before the game. This place will be lit.
Maryland expects every game to win the possession battle. Face-off man Luke Weirman is a game changer.
He is a balancing factor, a dominating factor for the Maryland Terrapins, being able to win face-off after face-off. Last weekend against Ohio State, where Maryland trailed the entire game, Weirman was the equalizer and the difference maker. He is the best in the land, a reigning first-team All-American. Rutgers will have their hands full with number 52 tonight.
The Scarlet Knights, they were very efficient last week, knocking off Michigan in overtime. A healthy Brian Cameron makes a big difference.
Missed 2 games this season, including the Big Ten opener against Ohio State, where Rutgers was anemic offensively. 4 goals last weekend against Michigan. Look at that, 24 goals, 9 assists. He is such a terrific offensive performer for Rutgers.
Time to clue you into the netminders for this game. Maryland's Brian Ruppel, a freshman who has 0 stage fright. A big Sunday night showdown is going to suit him just fine. As Rutgers, at the other end, will ride with Kyle Mullen. Mullen, who leads the Big Ten in goals against average, always expecting to be a calming influence for the Scarlet Knights, who come into this action at 8-3. Maryland, 4th ranked in the land, 7-3. The Terps, 2-1 in the conference. Rutgers at 1-2. The officials, Peter Buchanan, Joe Cieslak, and Tyler Harriman. It is Rutgers in white getting the first possession thanks to Jonathan Duhenio.
Duhenio much improved at the face-off dot. He is really, really good, and he's going to have his hands full tonight with Luke Weirman. He did not play against Army earlier this season, a 1-goal Rutgers setback.
Sprock maneuvers in for the Scarlet Knights. Ryan Cameron, who tallied 4 times in the win over Michigan a weekend ago, teeing it up for Justin Kim, who has 5 goals in his last 2 games. Kim, Knobloch, and Sprock, the first midfield for head coach Brian Breck. This is Knobloch weaving his way, wandering in against John Geppert. Shot clock's at 30. Sprock on the go. Kulas moves it quickly. Cameron wheeling in against Makar. That's the marquee matchup tonight. Bounce shot on the way. Ruppel stands tall at the post.
Does a great job of hugging the near post. Doesn't give it up. You're going to see Ruppel athletic. Very, very good outside the cage. He'll help in the clearing game. He'll help ride the ball back. He's a special one, even though he's only a freshman.
Bottom of the screen, you're seeing John Tillman's starters with the Terps in the black jerseys. First offensive possession for Kyle Long, 23 in the black, who saw his 27-game point-scoring streak come to an end last week at Ohio State. A thrilling game at the Ohio State Lacrosse Stadium, brand spanking new in Columbus.
This first midfield last week struggled against the Buckeyes. The second midfield was the ones that closed the deal, getting him back in the game in the 4th quarter, then helping him win in overtime.
Erksa, the multi-talented freshman, trying to get underneath there. Played well by Ryan Decker, the short stick defensive midfielder, among 5 that you'll see for the Scarlet Knights. Good defensive stand, forcing a Terp turnover on the first possession.
Yeah, no shots for this Maryland offense. One person of note, Dante Trader. We saw him clear the ball. He's in the lineup for Maryland, was hobbling last week, but what looked like a leg injury. He is in the lineup. Big shot in the arm having him, because he's capable not only of playing defense, but scoring some goals.
Ross Scott working against fellow Oregon native Ajax Zapatello. Another outstanding individual matchup in this team game. Scott with elite speed plays it on back for Cameron. Rolling in against Makar. A deliberate offensive possession for Justin Kim. No shooting room there.
Kim really cracking the lineup over the last 2 or 3 weeks. He has a brother, Andrew, and they both are Syracuse transfers. He's waited his time. Now he's getting an opportunity.
Knobloch off the roll dodge. His pass is low for Justin Kim. That'll get to the sideline. Both teams turnover prone in the first 4 minutes. Head coach John Tillman on the sideline for the Terps. 16 seasons as a head coach. You see 13 of those spent in College Park with tremendous success.
Two-time national champion. And as we learned last week, chair of the Rules Committee.
Yes. Coach Tillman has never lost in a game against Rutgers. The Terrapins as a program have lost just once to the Scarlet Knights. That came way back in 1980.
The only team Rutgers has not been able to topple since the formation of the Big Ten Men's Lacrosse Conference.
See the nuggets at the top of the screen regarding the all-time series. This is Koras kicking it back behind the cage for Long. He has Noah Daniels attached to him. Long gets topside. Rolls the goal line extended, looks for a cutter. The Terps swinging the ball effectively. Move it from the top with Brennan. Jack Brennan from the bad angle, snaps the pass. On the weak side, looking for Maltz. Shot clock's at 10. Another terrific defensive stand by the Scarlet Knights.
The Maryland is just not able to win a matchup. And when you talk about Maltz, I know his game is improved. He's not a terrific dodger. He's not much of a dodging threat. Daniel Kelly is the shooter. Not much of a dodger either. So really, you only have 4 guys on the field that you could try to win a matchup with. And right now, Maryland not being successful.
Rutgers caused 11 turnovers last week against the Wolverines. This is Cameron looking for any shooting space as we look to lift the lid on the scoring. Nearly 5 minutes into this Sunday night showdown, a Big Ten matchup, a top 10 matchup in Piscataway. Aimone in the second midfield for Rutgers. Both teams exhibiting outstanding defense. This is an over and back violation. Ball scooped up off the turf by Daniel Kelly.
Both teams thus far are very, very sloppy, especially Rutgers. 2 possessions in a row where they just throw the ball away, not enduring a ton of pressure, just fundamentals not clicking right now for the Scarlet Knights.
7 in the black out there is Erksa Spanos. Spanos has been scoring well. Goals in 4 straight. Defenders hung up here. Stahanzik peeking over the top of the crossbar at Daniel Maltz. Shift gears out for Braden Erksa. Big Ten Freshman of the Week. Skipping around. Well played there by Andrew Machika. This drive finds a home. From the outside, Maryland breaks on top.
This is a guy who can win a matchup and draw a slide. Erksa. He's matched up on a short stick, and he's able to work the edge. You're going to see a quick slide. He comes back, and then he's going to find Siracusa with the goal, the step down, but that's what you have to do if you're Maryland. You've got to get this Rutgers defense rotating, moving, off balance. Erksa's able to do it, and the second midfield comes through once again for Maryland.
Siracusa, big smile behind that face mask. He had his first career multi-point game last week in the win over Ohio State. He gets the party started for the Terps, who get the ball right back. And there is a violation that's going to award the ball to Rutgers in white.
Yeah, just unlucky for Daniel Kelly. Picked up that ball, and then his momentum carried him out of the box before he was able to get possession.
Head coach Brian Breck pacing on the sidelines. Been very pleased, I think, with the consistency of his defense all season long.
They've played well. I would say their Achilles heel in Big Ten play has been Kyle Mullen to a point. He struggled against Hopkins, struggled against Ohio State 2 weeks ago.
Behind the cage, this is Cameron, picked up by the long stick midfielder Jack McDonald. Top side for Justin Kim, drawing an early double team. Cameron also picked up by 2. Exchanging the ball with Kim. Cameron fires at bouncer, is over top of the cage, guarded by Brian Ruppel. Ruppel on the season, 5 times in double figures in stops. In this, his freshman year, Preston to service after Logan McNaney was lost to the season to an early leg injury.
The plan was to redshirt Brian Ruppel, but here he is, the backbone of this backline Maryland defense.
Zapatello comes up with the ground ball. Terrapins are running. It's McDonald looking for a fast break. The pass is low, though. It gets away from Erksa. To the sideline there, long stick midfielder LeJon Jones watches it go out of bounds. It is Rutgers' ball.
Great hustle for Rutgers. This is a very athletic team. They're great between the lines. That was a wonderful job of getting it into the hole. But if you're Rutgers, again, you've got to be concerned about the sloppy stick work here early in the game. They've got to settle down. I mean, you have got a huge crowd here. They're all behind the Scarlet Knights, save for, Maryland traveled with a lot of fans here, but there's more Tony Sopranos in the crowd than Cal Ripkins.
It's a blustery night in Piscataway. Sneak attack here. Ruppel slams the door. The lone tally in this contest, Siracusa, as Dante Trader brings it back for Maryland. Trader going to the goal, bulldozing his way in, greeted by 3 Scarlet Knight defenders. The Terrapins able to call the timeout to keep possession. 6 minutes and 51 seconds have flown by in the opening quarter at SHI Stadium. It is Maryland on top by 1 with Lacrosse on Big Ten Network. Lacrosse on the Big Ten Network is brought to you by State Farm. When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Images from last weekend in Big Ten men's lacrosse action. All 3 games last week in the conference required overtime. The State of Success is brought to you by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. These were the OT heroes.
And I think this speaks to the competitiveness and how close these teams are from top to bottom, 1 through 6. Knobloch, Erksa, Winkoff, they closed the curtains on those 3 games, but the margin of separation between these teams is so minimal. Right now, Penn State is in Ann Arbor playing the University of Michigan. They're down 7-4 in the 3rd quarter. Really, that Ohio State-Hopkins game yesterday was maybe one of the only blowouts we've seen all year in the Big Ten.
Sunday night temperatures here in Piscataway in the low 60s. Expecting a crowd of better than 6,000. Siracusa is relieved of his cross and the ball. And it's Ethan Rawl who comes up off the turf with it. Rawl, the outstanding long stick midfielder.
Great check, and he is a vacuum off of the carpet. Beautiful pickup. We've got Maryland now at 5 turnovers. Rutgers with 3. That's a little surprising when you consider how bad Rutgers' stick work has been.
Scarlet Knights defense stiffening there. There's a push call. It'll stay Maryland. Fans disagreeing with that call.
You gotta love the Jersey crowd. I mean, that was a textbook loose push, and they are letting Peter Buchanan, Hollywood, great referee, letting him hear it.
Brennan sets it back behind the cage for Braden Erksa. He has Stehanczyk hung up. Quick stick inside. Score! Jack Koras.
The more you watch Braden Erksa, the more you're impressed with him potentially coming the next combination of a Jared Bernhardt, Logan Wisnauskas type player. This is the feeding ability of Logan Wisnauskas. And Jack Koras, we've documented it many a time, maybe the best cutting midfielder in the Big Ten. Just reads the pick, the seal, steps around it, and he is completely naked on the backside. Great feed, great finish. Maryland up 2-0.
Weirman at the face-off dot for Maryland, working against the acrobatic Duhenio, and it is Weirman who comes up with possession for Maryland. Erksa has a couple of assists. He had a 3-assist game against Notre Dame earlier in the season. Siracusa and Koras on the board for Maryland in the black. An early 2-0 lead on the road.
I mean, you got a freshman who was a natural midfielder directing the attack of the defending national champions. That is a lot of responsibility for a young player, and Erksa has certainly responded.
Zach Whittier driving in for the Terrapins. Switch it back behind the goal for Erksa, and then bring it on around to Siracusa. Tracked down well there on the outside by Machica. Spanos fires, Mullen able to fight that off. A good stop in cage for the former Harvard captain. Maltz waiting in against Russo. Quick pass to the interior, another cutting goal. Popped in by Whittier.
With the feed from guess who? Number 10 in black. Maryland having their way off ball with the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Erksa, great vision. Too much ball watching, though, if you're Rutgers. The little flare cut by Whittier. Feed is right on his ear. Rutgers that time caught a little flat-footed, a little bit of miscommunication on the cutter.
Ethan Rahl, the defender for Rutgers, said earlier in the week, Maryland doesn't take a shot they don't love. They're more than willing to work deep into a possession, and when they get the right shot, they tend to bury it. Siracusa, Koras, and Whittier back to back to back. 3-0 for the Terps on the road against a team that has not lost at home this season.
Rutgers has got to find a spark here. They got a couple of turnovers early, couple defensive stops, but they've wasted them with some sloppy stick work. And now Luke Weirman, it doesn't take long for him to become Luke Weirman. And once that transformation happens, when he figures out what the other guy's doing, it could be a long day for opposing defenses.
Brennan rolls back and finds Long. Brennan will take it for a ride. Picked up there by Apgar, who caused 4 turnovers last week against Michigan. Erksa already with a hat trick of assists. Isolating, maneuvers in, skipping over the top. Brennan trying to get underneath, rolling back. Outside heat, score! Maltz makes it 4 in a row.
I think that's one Kyle Mullen is going to wish he could have back. What Maltz may not have in dodging or giddy up, he makes up for in shooting, especially from range. This is a guy who made his living in the phone booth first couple years in a Terrapin uniform. Last year, he was only on man up. And as such, he's really done a great job of stretching his range and where he's able to hit from. Great one-timer, worm burner. Mullen was slow to react, and it just sneaks underneath of him.
Points in 10 of his 11 for Maltz, who was Ohio State that blanked him last weekend off the draw between Duhenio and Weirman. It will be Rutgers' ball.
Really nice
Scarlet
job.
Knights trailing by 4 early, Mark. What do they need to do offensively to crack the code against Maryland?
They've got to take care of the ball. They have got to take care of the ball. They've got to be patient, realize it's a long game. Take it to brick by brick is how you have to chip away at this lead, but it starts with taking care of the ball and making Ruppel make saves, and they have the last possession that they have, but it seems like they haven't been on offense in quite some time.
There are 21 seniors in the lineup for Rutgers on senior day. Number 22 in the white, Civetti is one of those. Eric touching the ball there back behind the cage. Civetti with goals in 2 of his last 5, wheeling in against Nick Red. Ball down on the scoop. Taken to safety by Maryland's number 40, Colin Burlace, who's wearing his dad's number. Dad Brian, a.k.a. Bubba, National Defender of the Year in the early 90s.
He has brother BJ, a teammate here. He has another younger brother, Gavin, a senior in high school. He'll be attending Notre Dame next year. Bubba separated my shoulder in high school. He was playing for St. Mary's. I was playing for Loyola. I came around, scored a goal in what was then the MSAA conference. It was a semifinal game, and he planted me.
Were you ever able to get him back?
No. We became teammates with the Green Turtle later on, and he's just a great guy. Gentle giant. He's not the kind of guy you want to get back.
I understand. A statement in the first 14 minutes from the Terps. Working again on offense, spinning the ball swiftly. Spanos deals. Front swinging Erksa, move it for Siracusa. That sidewinder sails wide. Backed up on the end line in Lacrosse on a shot when the ball leaves the field. Closest to it when it leaves, gets possession. It stays Maryland.
Maryland looks very good offensively here with moving the ball. Great ball movement. They're not relying on one-on-ones. They tried that early in the game, didn't have success.
This one ricochets off the outside of the post. That's Daniel Kelly, who has goals in all 10 games this season. 45 in the black gets repositioned. Rutgers. Tail end of this opening quarter, and Maryland can hold the ball for the last possession.
I'm trying to figure out if Rutgers, they are in some type of zone. They are pressuring the ball behind the cage, but they're packing it in.
Whittier comes up off the ground, airmails that pass though. That's a turnover against the Terrapins. Final 14 seconds of the opening quarter. Off and running, Noah Daniels. Kick it back behind to Ross Scott, wheeling in against Zapatello, who he's played against all his life, he's told us. While they were out in Oregon together, this one's deflected out of play. Scott was complimenting Zapatello's footwork, as everybody does. The All-American defender, as we are done with the opening 15 minutes in Piscataway, the home of the Scarlet Knights. And John Tillman's squad has stormed into town and grabbed a 4-0 lead after one. Folks, on Saturday, one of the sport's great rivalry renews. It's the Terrapins colliding with the 7th-ranked Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. Big Ten men's lacrosse. Saturday, 6 Eastern, only on Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. Mark these two teams that have played in several Big Ten championship games. And
2021, Hopkins played Maryland very close. Last year, that was not the case. Hopkins got blown out at home against the Maryland Terrapins, a game that was, in essence, over after 3 quarters. Don't think the Blue Jays have forgotten about that shellacking. Things will be hopping next Saturday night in College Park.
You saw the huge crowd here at SHI Stadium for this Sunday night matchup. Possible attendance records, lots of youth lacrosse groups in attendance. As Luke Weirman gets control of the ball to start the second quarter, his mates, 4 different goal scorers in the opening frame, Siracusa, Koras, Whittier, and Maltz, lifting the Terps to the advantage as Long drags it back behind the cooker.
Yeah, execution is what defined Maryland's offense there in the first quarter. Lack of execution is what defined Rutgers.
Maryland is the last team to beat Rutgers here in Piscataway. 16-game home field win streak for the Scarlet Knights is the longest in the nation currently. Long plays a 2-man game with Koras. He scores!
The ball moves faster than your feet. And right now, the Maryland ball movement is dizzying to this Rutgers defense. You invert 2 midfielders, Koras and Long, who at both times in their careers, whether it's high school or college, have played attack. So they're comfortable behind the cage. Really bad communication by the Rutgers defense. Koras front swings, no one follows or supports. And that's an easy dunk for the junior.
Koras, who has 5 hat tricks this season, is 2/3 of the way there already in the opening half tonight. But John Jones races to a loose ball, 77 in the white, comes up with the scoop. Jones, who transferred to Rutgers after 3 seasons at Bryant University. #1 in caused turnovers with that program. 5 unanswered for Maryland. Now this is the same Maryland team which held Ohio State without a goal for the last 17 minutes of play last week. First 15+ minutes of play this week.
They look good. They do. But as good as they've looked, Rutgers has been that lackadaisical on offense. If you're the Scarlet Knights, you've just got to get one. You've got to make a play that's going to light a spark, because these Jersey lacrosse fans came out and they are hungry for a good Rutgers performance.
Justin Kim shares it with Knobloch, the All-American midfielder, 27 in the white. 25 seconds to shoot. Sprock gets double teamed by Zappatello. Bring it this way. Cameron isolating against Makar. Makar wearing the #1 jersey for the Terrapins as Cameron buzzed that one wide. Makar told us earlier in the week, players like Bernhard and Wisnowskis suggested and recommended to Coach Tillman that Makar be the next to uphold that tradition. Inside roll, Ross Scott lost it out of his cross. Ball down. And the scoop for Zappatello.
So fun to talk to Makar. And it was great to hear how the evolution came about with respect to him getting the #1 jersey. He said, I didn't even ask for a number when I came to Maryland. I was supposed to be number 48. Jesse Bernhardt said, hey, how about 43? He goes, I don't really care. So he's never been a numbers guy, but when you're approached by the likes of Bernhardt, Wisnowskis, and recommended to wear the #1, you do it.
Spanos moving the ball quickly. Terrapins in the black jerseys with Erksa, who already has 3 assists on the night. Off and running, Siracusa fires, fought off there by Mullen. An important stop in the goal for the Scarlet Knights, but Whittier gets possession and a 60-second shot clock for the Terps.
Whittier and the second midfield unit, they have just been super impressive.
Spanos off the split dodge, rolling back to the middle. Sweeping from the top, matched up with Remy Reynolds. Quick stick inside, just bounced wide. Spanos was sent flying after he released the ball.
They look confident. A second midfield, when you have a second midfield that can produce, you become that much deeper, that much more dangerous. And this second midfield has become incredibly reliable and gained the confidence of this Maryland coaching staff.
Maltz to the feed inside. Mullen makes a big stop there on Whittier from point blank.
Will that be it? Will that be the play that can galvanize this Rutgers team to push forward and get their first tally of the night for them?
Cameron, number 11 in the white, #1 in the Big Ten in terms of goals per game this season, 2.7. Setting it up, Ryan Decker, the short stick defensive midfielder. This is a Rutgers team that loves to get early offense from non-offensive players. Most notably Noah Daniels, who has goals in 5 straight. James Ringer gets his first touch, 31. Sharing it with Logan Peters, 7 in white. Ryan Breck going deeper and deeper into his bench. 9 is Shane Murphy, the freshman.
Just trying to find something that will work against this Maryland defense.
Off and running, it's Ringer on the throwback. That shot from the perimeter, scores! Ringing it up, Jack Aimone.
It starts with the missed opportunity for Maryland. Kyle Mullins had good position. Not sure if it was a save, but sometimes it's better to be lucky than good as Whittier whiffs on it. But Rutgers is able to get it out of the defensive end. They work their offense. Good throwback. Really nice play. Ringer with the catch, the shoot. Gigantic goal for the Scarlet Knights.
Now can they get a possession from Duhenio? Weirman pops right away, going right to the cooker. Fast break, just hummed high by Erksa and off the target. That's what's so demoralizing when you try to put goals back-to-back against Maryland. When Weirman's locked in, you don't get possession.
Yeah, and luckily for Rutgers, that ball didn't go. They at least have a chance to play defense. I mean, that celebration would have been really short-lived, how that shot found the back of the cage.
Rutgers' team goals against average this season is 10.2. 10th best in the nation when we began play this weekend. John Tillman's squad ranked 4th in the land as the officials are resetting the shot clock now. Just shy of the 5-minute mark. Joe Beninati, Mark Dixon shouting out thanks to all the men and women in our technical crew, both here in Piscataway and back home in Chicago. The outside heat fire is fought off there. Another bullet shot from Daniel Kelly. Kelly, who has 5 multi-goal games this season. Speed dodge working inside. Long took his eyes off it. He got handcuffed by that pass. And up off the ground and running comes Noah Daniels. Daniels, one of the igniters on offense from short stick deep. Kicks it here. On the wing, Cameron with a roll dodge. Fenced in there on the perimeter. Knobloch chased by Geppert most of the night as Brian Brecht calls the timeout for the Scarlet Knights. We'll take it with him. 9.5 to go in the opening half of play. It's Maryland in control here in Piscataway. For the biggest Big Ten experience, there's no plus like home. The Big Ten Plus app is powered by Big Ten Network. Download and subscribe now. Mark Dixon, Brian Brecht's team has been mistake-prone in the first half.
Yeah, 4 first-quarter turnovers, and Maryland's defense is good enough without you throwing the ball all over SHI Stadium. Just sloppy, not handling pressure, not taking care of the rock. And these turnovers allowed Maryland to jump out to that 4-goal bulge. And when you factor in a face-off guy like Luke Weirman, you just cannot shoot yourself in the foot the way Rutgers has so far in this contest.
Rutgers went scoreless in the opening quarter. First time all season that had happened to the Scarlet Knights. They've broken through with Aimone on the board after the 5 unanswered goals for the Terps. Bringing in from the top with Justin Kim. Kim, who scored a hat trick at Johns Hopkins on his birthday. Carrying it away from pressure. Shane Murphy will exchange with Ross Scott as the Scarlet Knights circle it up to Knobloch. Knobloch with 15 seconds to shoot. Here he comes getting double teamed. Geppert's there. Knobloch emerges from the pack. Sprock closing. Cameron's jump shot, score! Brian Cameron.
The big man uncorks one. What a play by Shane Knobloch, who gets doubled. It's a little chilly here on the banks, but he decides to go swimming. And look at the confidence of Brian Cameron. He just drifts up, and he feels the lack of pressure on his bottom hand. And when you don't have somebody pesking and poking you in the bottom hand, you can set them, get your feet square, and unrip.
Cameron now 3 goals from 100 in his career. The transfer to Rutgers after 3 seasons in Chapel Hill with the Tar Heels. Has goals in 9 of his 10 games this season. Tallies back-to-back for Rutgers, making this a 3-goal deficit.
Rutgers is such a different team with number 11 in the lineup. Such a big, dodging presence. We saw the shot right there. He is a guy who makes this team different.
Siracusa will carry it in against Decker. Spanos finds Erksa. Stahanczyk with him. Spanos on the hop. Works to the inside roll against Daniels. Nice job using the crease there to defend. Spanos rolling back, gets underneath, goes to the goal and scores! Eric Spanos.
Spanos is big. 6'5", 220. And when he is down low, if you overplay him, he'll make you pay. And that's what happens. Daniels rides up into his neck. Could have been a call, but referee lets it go. And then he's just going to slide as Daniels overcommits. And Spanos is an attackman by nature, so he knows how to finish in tight, finish in close, and that was a pretty one.
Former Philadelphia area high school lacrosse player of the year out of Malvern Prep. Makes it 6-2 for the Terps. Weirman drawing against Duhenio, and Duhenio comes out of the pack with it. Duhenio, a very gifted lacrosse player, not just one of your face-off, get-off type midfielders.
He's brought some.
Scott fires from the angle and scores. Ross Scott.
Caught me off guard, Joe. Rutgers is known for early offense, but they have struggled in that department, especially in this game. Duhenio with the face-off win. You gotta love the ground ball that was created by LeJohn Jones, and then Scott doesn't really force the issue. You see it's kind of a dummy dodge, but then he plants his foot in the dirt, spins back because he realizes Zappitello may have relaxed a little bit. We talked about it earlier. These guys know each other inside and out, both from the state of Oregon. They've played against and with each other for years, and I think Zappitello I don't think he thought Ross was going to shoot that.
Duhenio bounces this one loose, and Duhenio comes up with a possession much needed for Rutgers. Ross Scott displaying the release of a 50-goal scorer last year. Ohio State's the only team to blank him in this campaign. Now Rutgers a chance to pull within 2 as we've crossed the midway mark in quarter number 2. From the top, it's Aimone. Aimone, Cameron, and Scott on the board for the Scarlet Knights. Logan Peters launching into this rush. Scott wheels to the inside. That bid was partially blocked by Zappitello. Right on his hands.
Scott told us this week that he texts not only Zappitello, but Alex Schlusher from Princeton, another Oregon native. Those guys are in a text group weekly. We talked to him when? Thursday?
That's right.
And he hadn't heard from Ajax, but he said he was going to chirp him as game time got closer.
The chirping picked up as the weekend drew near. Spinning, it's Murphy. Murphy feeds. Shot clock's at 12. Aimone to the alley. Worked over there by Makar. Such a strong defender. Muscles up. Ruppel makes a stop there on Aimone. Shot clock reset for Rutgers if they come up with the ground ball. A wild scramble on that far sideline and out of bounds. It will be Scarlet Knight possession.
Yeah, they're going to say Maryland kicked the stick of the Rutgers player. And you got a ton of Rutgers supporters right in front. Part of this halftime ceremony. They were willing that Rutgers possession, and they get it.
Rutgers went nearly the first 20 minutes of this game without a goal. Then they struck for 3 goals in a little less than 3 minutes, making things a whole lot more interesting. Scott on the move. Throwback here. Sharp angle. Slugged high by Murphy. Shane Murphy, who had a hat trick earlier this season against St. John's. Rutgers at 8-3. Maryland at 7-3. As the Terps get the timeout with 5.5 to go in the opening half of play.
John Tillman will do that. He doesn't like his defense, wants to reset him, he'll call a timeout on the dead ball to get the proper personnel and message across.
Mark with Maryland in front by 3. Let's have a peek at the top 10 teams in the land.
USILA top 10. Notre Dame, no game this weekend. They'll play North Carolina in a week's time. Duke continues their mastery over Virginia in the regular season, 18 straight. There you see Maryland, Penn State, Johns Hopkins, Rutgers. 4 of the top 10 teams reside in the Big Ten. Cornell, last-second victory over Army, and that Georgetown team pieces together another win in overtime in Milwaukee against Marquette. It's the most wonderful time of the year if you are a lacrosse fan.
Dixie, we're enjoying lacrosse here in Piscataway. It's senior day, it's alumni appreciation day. So many of the Scarlet Knights, top athletes back in town.
There's a buzz with this program, and there's always been that Jersey Rutgers pride, but with the success of this program over the last 4 or 5 years, quarterfinal appearance in 2021, national semifinal appearance in 2022, people believe here in Piscataway. They think that Rutgers has established themselves, and I'm not arguing with them, as a legitimate, consistent, top 10, top 12 lacrosse program in the country.
And Ethan Rawl was saying, you know what, maybe we don't get enough respect. We use that as a chip on our shoulders for sure. Sprock has the ball now in his cross. Dante Trader with him, some 35 yards from the cage. Sprock hanging his stick there. Snapped that one wide, backed up on the end line. No, it'll stay Rutgers possession.
And we talk about the competitive nature of the Big Ten, Joe. Penn State and Michigan currently tied at 9 apiece in the fourth quarter. And
tonight, Maryland on the year has won 4 of 5 on the road.
Ross Scott with that last sprint to the cage, trying to beat the shot clock, which only had 5 seconds on it. Good defense by Zappatello. Possession over to the Terps. Rutgers has settled down. The question will be, can they recover from that horrific beginning where they fell down 4-0 and just didn't take care of the ball? They've settled in, and they need a defensive stop right here.
Brennan waiting for the All-American Kyle Long to take it with a speed dodge. He fires Mullen to his knees to turn that one away. Along the end line, the Terps are there to back it up and keep possession. Namely, Braden Erksa. Erksa, who was on a feeding frenzy in the opening quarter, if you're a little late with us, already with 3 assists in the game. Sunday night showdown with lacrosse on Big Ten Network. Pitch it over the top for Brennan. Brennan to the alley, fires, that's over the crossbar.
This offense for Maryland looks a lot better than they did a week ago in Ohio State. Second weekend in a row where the Terrapins have had to come into the Lions' den.
Passing's better, sequencing is better.
The whole thing, the confidence, the speed.
Brennan turns the corner, Mullen shuts him down.
I mean, this first midfield unit last weekend for Maryland was a non-factor. So much to the point that the entire fourth quarter, you know, not the entire, but save for 1 or 2 runs, it was the second midfield, and then they got the work in overtime. That's a big deal when you have a first midfield that helped you win a national. They were the second midfield last year, except Kyle Long was a starter that helped you win a national championship a year ago.
So much firepower lost from the Terrapins lineup to graduation. Players moving on. Ross Scott, 4th leading scorer for the Scarlet Knights, taking this one for a ride. Then David Sprock, goals in 4 of 6. Sprock feeling better and better, coming back off the injured list. Looks more like himself. Justin Kim picked up by Red. Off the sweep from the top, here comes a double from Trader. Dante's leg looks better than it did at the end of the Ohio State game last week. Knobloch feeds inside. That one bounced away from Aimone. Ball down, 8 seconds to shoot. Terps with the takeaway.
Mishandle by Aimone. That was a brilliant look from Knobloch. David Sprock, I agree, he does look better. I'd like for him to shoot more. I feel like he's getting to space, but not uncorking the shot. That might have to do with a little rust, little confidence. Not quite there yet with the knee.
Spanos and Whittier here. 30 yards from the cage. Remington Reynolds there, short stick defensive midfielder. On the run, Spanos, as he heaved that one wide of the post. It'll stay Maryland possession. Spanos in a shooting mood, has points in 7 straight. They reset the shot clock to 60. We have less than 2 minutes to go in the opening half. Off the swim comes Erksa. Picked up and measured by Stahanzik. Spanos is inverted. The midfielder below the goal line. Now gets on top. In tight quarters. Score! Quick trigger, Whittier.
Once again, the Terps find a seam in this Scarlet Knights defense. Whittier just kind of posts up and then drifts out. Catches, shoots. Spanos was actually staring him down. And Rutgers defense did not pick up on it. Whittier just finds a seam. No one follows him through. No one gets a lift or a check, and he delivers.
Zach Whittier, son of Scott and Tracy. Scott played football at Maryland in the mid-'80s to early '90. 85 to 90, he was an inside linebacker with the Terrapins.
There were some good teams. Those are Bobby Ross years, right?
You got it. Weirman there showing a little bit of a linebacker mentality. So too with Duhenio at the faceoff dot. This will be possession, it appears, for Maryland. There is a flag down.
Hey, 1:42 on the clock. All right, that's what we need. It was a dead ball foul, 1:42. Face-off never started.
Asking for a word from the officials upon this exchange.
I guess they may have gotten Duhenio for a hold on the initial grab, and that has to be 3 violations. So that is the 3rd violation against Rutgers. Comes late, 1:42 left, but now for the rest of the half, any violation by a Rutgers faceoff man will be a man-up opportunity for the Terps.
Maryland, 14 for 31, 45% a man-up. You'll see the special teams numbers at the top of the screen with Lacrosse on Big Ten Network. Down the stretch in this opening half with Maryland in front by 4. Long, badgered by Apgar. Physical customer, came to town from Division III powerhouse Salisbury. Terps change the formation. Beautiful ball movement. Bang for Maltz.
The Maryland ball movement 6-on-6 has been wicked enough. This is an absolute thing of beauty. Maltz with a gorgeous finish. The touch pass from Jack Koras. Wide open is Maltz. I mean, look, he's on an island all by himself. He could have had some Milborn Deli, had something to drink with it, wiped his mouth, and then shot the ball into the cage. You had that much time and that much space.
That's an awful long time. Maltz's second of the evening, closing in on a 20-goal campaign. Maryland has its largest lead back again. They jumped out 5-0 in this game. Now it's 8-3, looking for more in the last minute of the half. On the slow break, Mullen fights off that drive from Geppert. Always so dangerous in the trailer break. Stahanzik gets the ground ball for Rutgers. 45 seconds remain in the half.
I really like this Lahan Jones in the middle of the field. That was a bad pass, and he just stayed with it, slapped it back to Stahanzik.
Flag down against Maryland. Every time we talk to Brian Brecht, he says, I need to get Jones in the game more.
And I'm glad he is, because he does great off the wing on faceoffs. That was a very mature, disciplined play to keep possession for Rutgers, where a lot of players may panic. Jones didn't. He kept his wits about him. And this is really, I mean, when you think about the lineage.
Black 10, offside, 30 seconds. Black 10, offside.
When you think of the lineage of Rutgers polls, you know, Garrett Bullitt, you've got Kyle Pless. Now you have Ethan Rawl. Is Lahan Jones that next man up to become that next really, really good Scarlet Knight poll?
Ethan's been talking about Lejon. He's also been talking about Tommy Mendyke, who's getting more reps at the LSM position. And that's one of those glory spots in the roster for Rutgers. You mentioned guys like Bullitt and Pless bringing great attention to that position here in town.
They played it with flair, athleticism. The NASCAR situation, the up-tempo style allows them to showcase their abilities that much more.
Terrapins, very balanced scoring so far in this one. 5 different goal getters, 5 different guys with assists in the first 30 minutes, to the tune of an 8-3 lead over their hosts, the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, who have the nation's longest home field win streak on the line. They have won 16 in a row, have the Scarlet Knights. The last team to beat them, the Maryland Terrapins, in late March of 2021. There you see the win streaks that are active. A late first half extra man offside against the Terps with 25 seconds to operate. Ringer and Knobloch from the top. Knobloch hitches and scores! Shane Knobloch sets off the light show.
Big goal for Rutgers. Not only do they pull it to win 4 at the end of the first half, but their alpha finally gets on the board. Knobloch had been handcuffed up to this point. Look at the smooth, snappy release. Soaks the check. And there you see John McDonald is basically like, man, or Geppert, excuse me, John Geppert. Man, I should have come in there with the gloves. I had to be more aggressive with Shane Knobloch. You got to come hard or don't come at all against number 27.
Knobloch, who was the overtime hero against Michigan last weekend, has goals in 7 straight. Terps get the draw. Kohler is running with it. On the feed for Erksa, picked up by Stahanczyk. Long drive late, no troubles for Mullen. As the horn sounds, ending an action-packed first 30 minutes in Piscataway, with Maryland on top by 4.
Really impressed with Maryland's offensive execution. Brian Ruppel only had to make 2 saves in that first half. And I tell you, this Maryland team, again, they look really, really crisp. Terrific ball movement, excellent execution, gets them out to this lead.
So we are at the half after 2 quarters with Maryland on top. Rutgers head coach Brian Brecht is joining us. Brian, what was the difference in the last 15 minutes compared to the first 15 minutes?
I thought we did a good job hitting some shots offensively and having some possessions. Maryland does a good job with the time of possessions and ball control, and I think we just need to have more possessions and have some opportunities in the second half.
What will the message be to the halftime in the halftime locker room, Brian, to your team?
Well, listen, Maryland's a great team, and they're certainly going to earn a lot of goals. But I thought we our focus in the first half. We let a couple down. That last face-off being over the wing line. We had a couple of running away from the ball on the defensive end. So we got to stay focused and locked in and understand our game plan and take care of Rutgers and making sure we're doing what we need to do to have success.
Brian, we appreciate your thoughts. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Brian Brecht and the Scarlet Knights seeing Maryland start swiftly, a 4-0 leader after 1. The 2 teams exchanged 4 goals apiece in the second frame. It's 8-4 Terps after 2. Halftime coming up on Big Ten Network. Halfway home in this Sunday night showdown, a top 10 matchup between Maryland and Rutgers. In Piscataway, New Jersey, Maryland has the 8-4 lead. Maryland's bench boss, John Tillman, joins us before the start of the third quarter. John, what was the key to your team's precision in the first 15 minutes?
Yeah, I thought the guys shared the ball very well. We moved off ball well. We played with a lot of flow, and the ball just didn't die.
Coach, this is the second week in a row you've been on the road and you've been in an environment that's incredibly electric. Home crowds giving the other teams that home field advantage in a big way. How have your guys been able to keep their focus and execute at such a high level in these tough environments?
Yeah, I mean, this is a great crowd. It's always tough to play here. Brian and his staff doing an awesome job, and their kids play hard. So, all we tried to do is emphasize to the guys historically every time we come up here how hard it is, which it is. So now we got to play another really good 30 minutes because I know they'll come out swinging.
John, thanks for the knowledge. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Getting set for the third quarter to unfold as Coach Tillman matches up with Coach Brecht. John Tillman, who has, in his career as a head coach, never lost to Rutgers. This is a Maryland team all-time between the two schools that is 13-0 in Piscataway.
And this is why I think the first 5 to 7 minutes of this third quarter are so critical, because you have the physical piece, but then there's that mental piece as well. Maryland has the confidence knowing that they've never lost to Rutgers as Big Ten competition. And Rutgers knows that they've never beaten Maryland. And this is a golden opportunity. Great crowd, home field, primetime Sunday night on Big Ten Network. They got to start making some plays.
Rutgers' only win all time, this is meeting number 36, the only win for Rutgers came in late March of 1980. Duhenio gets the draw, then gets de-sticked. And Erksa comes up with a ground ball in black for Maryland.
We've seen a lot of de-twigging tonight. Duhenio de-twig Luke Weirman. Now Weirman returns the favor. That's some impressive defensive posturing after you lose a faceoff.
This is the last game of the Big Ten weekend. Johns Hopkins yesterday, Penn State today having prevailed. Maryland hoping to keep in line and in lockstep with those leading the conference. Kelly jitterbugs on the outside, beats Apgar, fires off the outside of the goal. Good recovery there, picked back up. Terps get another possession. Brennan maneuvers in. Erksa with some shake and bake, picked up by Bobby Russo. Russo, one of 21 different seniors on senior day / night in Piscataway. Temperatures in the high 50s now. It's been a blustery evening, plenty of wind. Jack Koras in no hurry. Maltz will swing it on around. Long sweeping. Maltz from the bad angle snapped that one wide late in the shot clock.
Yeah, he knew his shot clock was expiring. Just put it towards the crease. You got to feel good if you're Rutgers. Good defensive stand. Didn't really give Maryland a whole lot of clean looks at the cage. Now it's time to get it from defense to offense and go to work.
Apgar helping in the clear with Mullen and Russo. Russo, who is the 2022 Big Ten Sportsmanship Award winner in the conference. Apgar, a three-time All-American at Salisbury. They play it out for Dante Kulas, who has not touched the ball very much. Kulas tied for first for Rutgers in goal scoring. Scott against Zappatello, me and my shadow from back in the opening half and all the way back into their childhood.
Neat rivalry right there, and you're right. Kulas, haven't called his name much. He needs to get involved.
Sprock feeds. Ross Scott is next. He's got Makar hung up. Rupel gets out of there to flush him out. Ross Scott with 30 seconds to shoot. Knobloch, one of the niftiest goals of the opening half. Throws back for Sprock. Off the hitch, not going to shoot through Makar. Knobloch chased and tracked down by Geppert. On the way, and that's just rattling off of Rupel and maybe the outside of the post.
Nice save by Rupel, read it. But a good pickup by Rutgers. You get a shot clock reset and keep the pressure on this Maryland defense.
Rupel, who had just 9 saves in the OT win against Ohio State last weekend. This pass, ball gets away from Kulas, and it will be Maryland ball.
Man, just that's the stuff that was killing Rutgers in the first 15 minutes.
Rupel will clear. This is the #1 clearing team in the nation, the Maryland Terrapins. They are 92% effective. Rupel showing off his good work with the goalie stick, now chased by Reynolds. Reynolds checks him down, turnover, and Rupel's 40 yards from the cage. Towards the empty goal, nice pick by Zappatello. End to end, back with Kelly, and Kelly's in no hurry.
That was
an adventure.
It was, and that was, you know, mom and dad are coming home, quick. Let's clean up the living room before they walk in. I mean, there were 4 black jerseys, regardless of position, beating it back into the hole, pestering the Rutgers player, and they create the turnover. I can't really fault the Rutgers player because he was being bombarded with checks. You'd like to see him maybe pull that out, make a better pass. If you're the attackman, you've got to come up and give him an outlet.
Siracusa, who had the first goal of the night for Maryland, working in, loves his left. Erksa gets it right back to 38 in the black. Switch it for Spanos. Picked up on the outside by Remy Reynolds. Spanos draws a double. Siracusa keeps it hot. Siracusa with 23 seconds to shoot. Leaning in against Machika. Inside roll from Erksa. Scores!
Yeah. An opportunity for Rutgers with the goal vacated by Ruppel. They get all over it and watch the black jerseys. And there's 4 guys in the shorts of Mendyke. And then on the other end, opportunity missed is an opportunity gained. Look at that smooth inside roll. Erksa making it almost look effortless in scoring that one.
Erksa, who quieted the noisy house at Ohio State last weekend with his overtime winner. Tied for 3rd on the Maryland point scoring race when play began tonight. He's already got 4 points and counting in this one.
That's a gigantic goal. That's a potential 2-goal turnaround right there. Instead of it being 8-5, Rutgers looks up and sees a 9-4 hole.
It equals Rutgers' largest deficit on the night. Brennan jogging in. Traded off there to Ethan Rawl. Short stick defensive midfielder Daniel steps out. Mullen goes for the splits to make that stop.
6'4", Kyle Mullen stands, and I like the way he gets down low. How quick he can get that big frame down and smother shots and make saves like that one.
Daniels gliding into the offensive end, getting some reinforcements from Knobloch. As we get back 6-on-6 at this end of the field. Ross Scott challenged by Ruppel. Zapatello balances up. Off the screen, set there by Tereski. Move it for Knobloch, swinging on around. Closing in at Sprock, the feed inside for Cameron. He just snapped it wide.
What a handle. Just wide, but Cameron, the strength right there to catch it, get it towards cage.
Halfway through the shot clock for the Scarlet Knights. Justin Kim on the move. Tereski with Knobloch. Around for Sprock. Shaking loose from Trader. Trader flattened him after that shot went wide.
I like the fact, though, that Sprock took that shot. He got a step. Credit Trader for the good recovery, but I think David Sprock starts letting it go. Could find some success.
Trader, who also plays football at Maryland, showing that closeout ability. Man, does he gain ground quickly on you. Knobloch knocked down, bouncing up to his boots. Sprock will switch it. Long drive from Justin Kim, a sizzler. That went wide. Shot clock is at 3.
Looks like Rutgers going into a defensive posture, so a couple really nice looks for the Scarlet Knights, but they come up with an empty possession. Tip your cap to the Maryland defense for holding them at bay.
Maryland, which surrendered just 2 goals in the second half last week in Columbus. Brian Breck knew that his Rutgers team would be facing a stiff challenge at that end of the field. Held to just 4 goals in the first 37 minutes. Ruppel, not afraid to bring it across himself.
Ruppel was in high school, Catonsville High School, made varsity as a freshman. They had a senior goalie. He was a pretty good player. Now playing at York College in Pennsylvania. So Ruppel played midfield, and he was the leading scorer on the team, or second leading scorer on the team. Also played goalie in soccer. So he is a terrific athlete. He is not afraid to take the ball into the offensive zone.
Maltz moves in, exchanges for Whittier. Whittier off the flash cut inside, they score! Kelly going to the goal.
Maryland just playing with a ton of confidence. And they're clearly winning and have won the first 7.5 minutes of this quarter. That's not an easy feed, and that's not an easy catch and finish. Whittier with the pass, Kelly with the finish. And again, that soft interior Rutgers defense comes back to haunt them.
6 multi-goal games this season for Daniel Kelly. 22 tallies overall. Maryland has its largest lead on the night. Tereski and the Scarlet Knights have to string some goals together here in a hurry.
Big time. Maryland is not an easy team to come back on, even if you're only down by 2 or 3.
Ross Scott wheeling back behind the cage. Scott shares it with Knobloch and then Aimone. Aimone on the board in the second quarter for Rutgers. Ringer's pass. Aimone took his eyes off of it. It rattled around his cross. Geppert keeping tabs on Knobloch. Aimone off the feed. Knobloch will find the open man. It's Ringer. Ringer against Red. Help comes from Makar, who's everywhere on defense for Maryland. Shot clock's at 28. Knobloch ready to go. Force it up top. Aimone dropped the ball there for a split second. 15 seconds to shoot. This is Ringer a long way from the cage. Here comes a double. Shovel shot. Cameron goes wide.
It looks like it got a piece of something because the shot clock has been reset to 60 seconds.
May have been Ruppel who is shuffling over in the cage from post to post. Scott will turn. Bad angle bid. Score! Aimone with a flag down.
Let's see what the flag is. If this is anything more than a push, this could be a dead ball, no face-off foul, or at the very least, a man-up face-off for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Aimone.
After the play was over, flag number 8, unnecessary roughness. 1 minute, no face-off. It's going to be white ball.
So we got a dead ball foul against Maryland. Eric Kolar. Watch him come down and railroad Aimone. How about the toughness for Aimone? Takes that hit, gets inside, sticks it. And this is an opportunity, a true make it, take it for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights.
Trailing Maryland 10-5, a game that began at 7 o'clock Eastern time. Stadium lights have taken full effect a long while ago, as Rutgers hopes to see a little bit more of that light show, which follows each of their goals here at SHI Stadium. Attacking on the extra man. Sprock, Knobloch, Cameron all on the outside. Skip it through for Aimone, who has 2 tallies tonight. Knobloch searching for the open man. The skip for Cameron. He thought about it from deep. So did Knobloch. Pitch it on through, and Ruppel made the save there on a BB from Aimone.
Stand tall. Soak the shot. Catch it clean. No rebound. Great save by Brian Ruppel.
Garrett Gibbons, 24 in the black, the clearing midfielder, specialist for John Tillman, brings the ball ahead. Short-handed Terps get back to full and even strength right now, having weathered the storm there on the Rutgers extra man. The Scarlet Knights this season at 37%, with Erksa their offensive coordinator.
Former head coach at Air Force. I love the ball movement by Rutgers. Just a good save from Brian Ruppel. Maybe not the best shot placement by Aimone.
Koras getting worked over by Apgar. It's in the cross of Braden Erksa, who's tied his career high with 4 points tonight. Some get up and go from Brennan, shadowed by Knobloch. Long's pass gets away from Kelly. This will go back over to Rutgers.
Fortunate for Rutgers, a turnover from Maryland. Kelly couldn't bring that pass in. They're hanging around, but they got to start making headway. They got to start stringing together consecutive scores.
Here's a guy who can help do it. Shane Knobloch, All-American midfielder, former Big Ten Freshman of the Year. Send it back behind the cage for Tereski. He'll work in against Burlace. Donovan Lacey picking up on Sprock. Sprock rolls back, fires, fought off there, rebound, just gets away from Ruppel and bounced wide of the post. And Dante Trader attempted to come up with a ground ball. This is a push, gonna give it to Rutgers.
Yeah, Burles, push, moving pick, your choice. Just trying to make a play. Rutgers catches a break there with another possession. I like Sprock shooting the ball. He's starting to get into a little bit of rhythm. I think he's gonna find the back of the net if he keeps it up.
50 seconds on the shot clock. Tereski using his speed to turn the corner, and Ruppel takes away the lower third of the goal.
Such discipline by Brian Ruppel. A lot of times young, goaltenders, especially young goaltenders, for whatever reason, will move upfield and give up that pipe. Ruppel had the discipline and the presence to stand tall.
This ball goes back to Rutgers now. Tail end of quarter three with 3:29 left in it. Ruppel, save counter is up to 7.
So it was offsides against the Terps. Brian Ruppel, a Goalie Smith student, showing off the tutelage of the Gavazden brothers between the pipes.
Ringer off the split from right to left. Tereski operating behind the cage a lot in this third quarter. Sprock hesitates, fidgets in on Trader, who shoved him into the alley. Ross Scott closing in on 100 goals in his career. Kick save by Ruppel. A marvelous stop for his 8th of the game.
Ruppel becoming like Mr. Fantastic or the Fantastic Four, just stretching, bending, all kinds of acrobatic opportunities.
And now he'll show off those midfielder-like stick skills to play on for Trader. Dante Trader's going to chill out. Dante already has a couple of 2-goal games this season. Did so against Syracuse and Penn State. Spanos has the rock for Maryland in the black jerseys. 2:25 in this third quarter. Maryland doubling up Rutgers on enemy turf, attempting to break the longest home field win streak in the nation. Kelly closing. He hung his stick there a little bit, and Apgar closed out to bother that shot. Erksa rolling. Here comes the quick double, trying to get it out of his cross. Spanos bulldozing against Decker. Broken stick there. Fires and scores! Spanos, invincible.
Is it Spanos or Thanos? Because this was mystical. Coming around the cage, the power of the 6'5" Spanos just breaks the stick in half. It's hard enough to defend him when you have a weapon. But when you're left defenseless, forget about it. Topside, plant your feet, send it home. 11-5 Terps in Jersey.
Number 19, Brian Ruppel there, left side of your screen, protecting this 11-5 Maryland lead. He got the job when the guy on the right in the hooded gray sweatshirt, Logan Manani, was injured.
Yeah, tore his ACL in a loss earlier this season to the Loyola Greyhounds. Then they went to Teddy Dolan for a week, and then Ruppel won the job. They take off the red shirt, and the former Maryland Rough Rider, showing why John Tillman and his staff had so much confidence putting a freshman between the pipes. You can see his athleticism, his quick reflexes. We've seen his ability outside of the cage. And he told us, Joe, that Logan McNaney has been an incredible tutor, mentor, and friend to him during the entire process.
Weirman wins the draw cleanly for Maryland. The Terps regain the possession. At the tail end of this third quarter now, with a 6-goal cushion over Rutgers. Senior Day, Alumni Appreciation Day in Piscataway, potentially a record-setting crowd in attendance, and the Terps to this point spoiling the party. Erksa's feed from the bad angle Koras. Mullen doing his best to tiptoe the crease there to keep the ball for the Scarlet Knights. Ooh, pass to the wing. It's cleaned up, thankfully, by Noah Daniels.
Johnny on the spot, Noah Daniels. But now he's getting harassed, and that's a dangerous pass across the field.
Turned out to be a pretty strong ride from the Terrapins, earning the ball back as Erksa directs traffic. Picked up by Russo.
I think that's what you get sometimes from Rutgers, these brain farts every now and again. There's no reason for that to be that hard or sloppy or to have a turnover. Mullen's just got a turnover from Maryland, make a clean outlet pass. And then if you're Daniels, do your job as a midfielder. Run, clear the ball.
Pardon me? How dare you say that on national television?
It's the only words I can think of that are clean to describe what that last sequence by the Scarlet Knights.
That clear did have some aroma to it. You're right. You're right. Whoa. Justin Kim flattens long. Ball down. Zappatello looking for it. He'll cross over and bring it ahead with a flag down against Rutgers. Erksa with Stahanczyk waving at him as time expires in this third frame. Maryland in control, 11-5.
It'll be a 30-second push against Rutgers, which means the expiration of the quarter. Flag down denotes possession. No face-off to begin the fourth stanza. Maryland will have the ball.
Technical push, 30 seconds. No face. No face. Right here.
Let's step aside. 15 minutes to go at SHI Stadium with Lacrosse on Big Ten Network.
4-goal first quarter has been the difference.
Around the Big Ten, Johns Hopkins and Penn State already winners this weekend.
Yeah, Hopkins really throttling the Buckeyes at their homecoming yesterday, 17-8. Penn State with the come-from-behind victory on the road against Michigan. They were down 8-4 to the Wolverines. And this Nittany Lion team, they are resilient, they are tough, and they now sit atop the conference for the moment.
As we get back to the live action to start the fourth, Maryland begins with an extra man opportunity. We see Owen Murphy for the first time. Murphy, who's been playing injured. Murphy's pass there is not a good one. This is a mistake and a turnover, giving the ball back to the short-handed Scarlet Knights. Speaking of mistakes, Rutgers had only 6 turnovers last week against the Wolverines. It was their fewest in a game since 2015. They've been more mistake-prone in this game tonight.
Yeah, that first quarter was tough if you're a Scarlet Knight fan.
Towards the empty cage, just sent wide on a drive from about 70 yards away.
And Ruppel wins the race to the end line. Got a better angle on it, cut inside of Cameron to get possession for the Terps.
Makar brings it ahead. Makar, who will tell you that he thinks Maryland's best lacrosse is ahead of this team, and they've shown themselves very nice in this Sunday night showdown. Erksa, one of the reasons why. Precocious freshman. Had a 4-goal game against Albany earlier in the year, has a goal and 3 assists tonight. Long works in against Decker. Erksa's next, and then back behind the cage. It's Koras. Gets room and fires. Mullen takes care of that. Downstairs and snaps away the clearing effort for Russo. Russo drags it along. Walsh, as they work in and score. Rutgers trimming the deficit.
Big time goal. That's a juice goal. 88 Bobby Russo. A junior captain And look at Russo, just standing wide open on the crease. Terrific catch and finish. The first transition opportunity of the night for Rutgers, and Russo makes the play.
Back to the face-off X we go. This time it's Joe Newman digging in on the draw against Luke Weirman. Newman, the transfer from Yale. Ball popped loose and it belongs to Kohler. So Russo gets himself on the board, the same Bobby Russo who scored against Marist earlier this season. We had our first look off the bench at Zach Walsh for Brian Brecht, 44 in the white. As Spanos will control. Spanos going to the cage, a bouncer that goes wide. Spanos with goals in the second and third quarters tonight. 2 minutes into the fourth now, are we? Siracusa bulldozing his way in. Avoids the double team from Machika. Spin it to the outside. Maltz hung his stick there, and Russo created the turnover with Ethan Rahl. Rahl loves this part of the game. Goes in transition, Rahl taking it all the way. Off the hitch on the outside. No shooting room there for Civetti.
I like the energy that Rutgers has brought to this fourth quarter. I think they're sensing the moment and the urgency.
Sharp angle snapped over top of the cage, selling out to the end line. The officials say it's Maryland ball.
Unlucky for Rutgers. Burles just runs to the end line. He had a better angle on it. It's not just when it goes out, it's where it goes out as well. And it's a lot of geometry, believe it or not, for the officials when they give that eyeball test.
Makar and the Terrapins, the #1 clearing team in the nation, finding Trader. Trader gets lassoed there by LeJohn Jones Jr. Maryland in control, 12 minutes to go. The deficit for Rutgers is 5. The nation's longest home field win streak is on the line. Scarlet Knights have won 16 straight here. Maryland is the last team to beat them back in March of 21. Brennan leisurely back behind the goal. Step for step with him, it's Daniels. Here comes a double from Reynolds. Maltz backpedals away, still 28 seconds to shoot. Hiding behind the cage, it's Erksa with his defender hung up. Swings to the front, gets wrap checked by Daniels. Ball goes to Rutgers.
Moving pick against Maryland. Rutgers has a chance. They've got to work fast, they've got to work quick. But I like their energy. I like they're playing with some urgency now, some fire in their belly.
See how good Rutgers has been. That graphic there at the top of the screen on home turf. And tonight in front of a record-setting crowd. Last year on senior day against Penn State, they had better than 5,200. Tonight, 5,800 and change.
It's a lot to be proud of. This is a growing fan base, a proud fan base, and they've come out tonight to support their Scarlet Knights.
Lots of local youth lacrosse programs in attendance. Seeing this top 10 battle in the Big Ten Conference. 4th-ranked Maryland in control. Ross Scott held mostly in check for the night. Sprock ready to go. Shot clock at 25. Sprock wheels in, the pass, it's low. Picked up off the turf by Knobloch. Scott will try it against Red. Off the roll dodge, here comes the double. The slides all the way around the horn, and Rutgers coughs it up.
That Scott has had that one goal where he kind of caught Zapatello sleeping. Zapatello's not napping or dozing anymore. He's staying on high alert, as is the rest of the Maryland defense. That quick slide caused the turnover.
So tough to beat Maryland. They had the 2 All-American close defenders in Makar and Zapatello who do things in a different way. Makar running in now, looking to create some offense with Geppert.
Yeah, Makar kind of the guy that's going to beat you up a little bit. Zapatello more of a silent assassin. If you think back to the defenses of Maryland in the 2000s, Chris Pasavia, although Makar isn't as flamboyant as Pasavia, and Lee Zink. Ajax Apatello reminds me quite a bit of Lee Zink, that kind of stealth, tough, fundamentally sound defender.
Maltz hanging out behind the cage. Makar says the place that he's evolved the most is his leadership from his first year to his 5th in College Park. Siracusa challenged on the outside by Decker, 15 seconds to shoot. Maryland draining time off the game clock. Spanos rampaging there into the heart of the defense. Coughed it up, back come the Scarlet Knights.
Spanos lowering his head. That's dangerous on his part. Surprised the officials didn't call that. And he's limping off the field right now.
Back behind the cage, Civetti, picked up by Zappatello. You and I saw Spanos get injured earlier in the season in a game against Penn State.
And we believe, another turnover by Rutgers, we believe it was a concussion kind of thing. Watch that, and his arm's free too. And you can see him holding little theatrics as he gets knocked to the turf. But we thought it was a concussion type issue because Spanos became the only Maryland Terrapin on that sideline with no helmet for the rest of that game against Penn State.
We mentioned the injuries to the netminder McNaney as Ruppel brings it along. Ruppel's going to the goal. He snapped it wide. The freshman comes up a little bit gingerly, limping to the end line after missing that far post. But there was a timeout call.
Look at the smile on Ruppel's face. He knows he's going to get some grief coming to the sideline. And Joe, that was almost a dream come true for you. A one-on-one by a goalie.
Teddy Dolan, his understudy, comes out and says, come on, get back to the huddle. We won't say a word about it. 11-6 for Maryland in the 4th. McNaney, I wonder, penny for your thoughts, Logan. Logan scored a goal against Ohio State in Big Ten play. Ruppel looking to do likewise and just trimming it too fine. Mark Dixon, plenty of Big Ten bragging rights in the RPI Top 16.
The cocktail that the NCAA Selection Tournament Committee uses, RPI, strength of schedule, Hopkins, Maryland, Penn State sitting pretty, 4, 5, 6, Rutgers at 12, Ohio State and Michigan at 15, 16. Right now, they've got to be worried about sub-500 records. The Buckeyes are 5-7, the Wolverines are now 5-6. Gigantic game next weekend between these two rivals. You don't want to go too far behind that Mendoza line and have to either go to the championship game of the tournament or win the whole daggone thing. Take some pressure off with the win next week.
Speaking of rivalry weekend, next weekend, Maryland, Johns Hopkins, Ohio State, Michigan, Rutgers, they move along to play at Penn State on Friday. Long draws the double, that pass for Kelly, hatcheted away by Apgar. Apgar coming off the ground with it. Loose ball still. And out of the pack, Russo goosed it to the end line. Out of bounds, it will be Maryland ball.
And Maryland has not scored a goal this quarter, but they've been effective with just bleeding clock and still playing some pretty darn good defense, just managing this game to get out of Piscataway with what they hope is a win.
Maltz's bounce shot, bounding over Mullen. The only strike in this 4th quarter, the long stick goal from Russo. Nice clearing effort, good catch by Daniels. High scoring short stick D midfielder, slugs one wide.
Don't mind that shot, had backup, let it rip, take a chance, you still get the ball back.
Daniels, who transferred to Rutgers after 4 years at Mount St. Mary's, has goals in 5 straight games. Has not tallied tonight. Ross Scott will find Knobloch. Expect Knobloch to have the ball in his cross quite a bit. Justin Kim racing to the outside, shaded by Nick Red. Burlace picks up on Kulas. Sprock measured there on the outside by Trader. The pass intended for Knobloch was deflected. Shane picks it up. Plenty of time in the shot clock for the Scarlet Knights, but time's a-wasted in the 4th. 6:25 left. Justin Kim off and running. Sprock Split dodge to the roll dodge. Fires, that sidewinder is stabbed by Ruppel.
He's been on point here in the second half. Only 2 saves at halftime. He now has 7. And some entertaining runs to cage as well.
Geppert helping to clear. Ruppel now with 9 stops. He's gone double figures 5 times, including 15 against Virginia. And one miraculous sequence of stops in overtime in that game against the Cavaliers.
That's where he was introduced to the lacrosse world. Stealing that one from the Wahoos.
Whittier has the ball and a couple of goals tonight. Lacrosse on Big Ten Network. Joe and Mark in the booth. Shout out and thanks to all the men and women in our technical crew here and in Chicago. Cross crease pass. Good catch there to keep it alive. Shot clock's at 27. Maltz against Remington Reynolds. Trades him off to Russo. Terps in no hurry now with Whittier. Against Decker. Lost it out of his cross. Mullen leaves the crease to help out on the ground ball. It's loose. Kelly playing man ball there. Ball down. And it comes up for Rutgers in white with Apgar. Clearing now for the Scarlet Knights. Across the midline, it's Stahanczyk. Stahanczyk, one of 21 seniors on senior night in Piscataway. 11-6 Terps in the black jerseys on the lead. And a timeout called. Mark, let us know a little bit about the communication that goes on when the ball's down on the deck like this.
So you've got 2 guys for Rutgers initially. You want to talk the man ball. You want to stay off the back of the man scooping up the ground ball, and you have to communicate because one man takes body, the other one goes after the ball. You can see how much this game means to each team. I mean, there must have been 4 different ground ball scrums during that sequence, but really it's a I got man, you take ball, and that's how you communicate in a 2-on-1 GB situation.
Rutgers gunning for its second top 5 win of the season. They beat then number 5 Loyola earlier in the campaign. A Maryland squad that is inching closer and closer to another double-digit win season. They've done that 18 years in a row, the longest active streak in Division I lacrosse. So should they hold tonight, Maryland would be up to 8.
And this is a Maryland team that has shown some vulnerability in the regular season. The loss in conference at home to Michigan. They escaped last weekend. That win versus Ohio State. I thought this game would be a little bit tighter at this stage, but again, that first quarter dominated by the Terrapins.
Under John Tillman, the Terrapins have won 91% of the games in which they've held the other team under 10. Ryan Breck's squad is stuck at 6 right now. You see the timeout story remaining in this one with 4.5 to go down the stretch. Ross Scott with plenty of get up and go, turns the corner, shave that one off the outside of the post. It'll stay Rutgers ball.
Scott showing that speed. It's blazing. Just needed a little bit more angle.
Makar called it elite quickness earlier in the week.
He's not wrong.
Scott has it in his cross again. Has the shorty Kohler on him. Feeds it inside. Bang! Civetti.
Scott gets a short stick matchup, and it's time to eat. The quickness, back and forth, the footwork, and then look at Civetti just slip behind the slide. That really had to come because you don't want Scott getting top side. Nice awareness by Civetti. Beautiful touch pass by Ross Scott. And Rutgers isn't done yet.
Really big face-off now. Really big. Civetti's 9th. At the draw we go. Weirman and Duhenio trade her off the wing, and it comes up for Geppert. John Geppert, so crafty at his long stick midfielder position, wins the ground ball, and the possession and a chance for Maryland to drain more time off the game clock.
That's a gigantic ground ball. I mean, that is what the new face-off rules hope to have happen a 3-on-3 situation, and Geppert with the 70 inches of titanium just picks it up off the carpet.
Ross Scott, who just set up Civetti, has a goal and 3 assists for Rutgers, trailing now by 4. And Long in no hurry. All-American midfielder, goals in 3 of his last 5. Not on the board yet tonight. Picked up a long way from the cooker by Noah Daniels. 3:10 left. 25 on the shot clock. Wouldn't be surprised to see Maryland use it all.
They're really going to bleed this clock down.
Long going to the cage, skipping on through, taking his eyes off of it there. It gets away from Maltz on the sideline. Rutgers has the ball and going to the cage quickly.
Maltz trying to save that ball, actually did a favor for Rutgers, putting it back into the stick for the quick restart.
Scott feeds it cross crease. Score! Dante Kulas. 3 goals unanswered in the 4th.
Watch Maltz try to save it. He puts it into play, and Ethan Ross says, thank you very much. He's whistle ready. Starts the quick early offense, and then Ross Scott is able to go to work again. Great vision, great touch, and how about the finish on the back side? Terrific awareness by Ethan Rawl, and he hits Dante Kulas, and Rutgers crawls to within 3.
It is the closest they've been since they trailed 5-2 in the 2nd quarter. Face-off control for Weirman. Luke Weirman came into tonight winning 63%. He gets tracked down, was knocked down. Possession for the Terps.
And they're going to give a timeout to Maryland.
There was a timeout asked for and given.
What the Rutgers faithful is unhappy about is maybe a potential no call on a push against Weirman. Let's look at it. I don't think that's a push, but I could have been sold on a hold by Luke Weirman as he was pulling up under the armpit of Dehenio. And right when he gets in the box, right there is when they're given the timeout. So Luke Weirman, again, being a warrior at the face-off dot, playing tough as we look at some of his numbers.
He was the Big Ten Specialist of the Week last week, and look from left to right how impressive he was as the game went further along.
He was struggling against Matthew Fritz in the 1st quarter, and like many great face-off men, he makes adjustments and he figures it out. 80% in the 2nd quarter, 100% in the 3rd quarter. 4th quarter, 2 out of 3, and then he won an all-important face-off in overtime for the Maryland Terrapins. And then tonight, he's been perfect in the 4th quarter thus far.
Watch the sideline here. John Tillman, the head coach, is going to get this timeout call in. In the gray hooded sweatshirt there in the circle. Asks for time, gets the time.
Look, he can run and then make the timeout signal without dropping the iPad. That is some dexterity.
Terps have it. No timeouts remaining for Maryland in the black. Rutgers has 1 left. It's a 3-goal game. Down the stretch with Lacrosse on Big Ten Network. So glad you've tuned in there with us. Here at SHI Stadium, a record crowd in attendance, hoping that their favorites can rally back. Mullen has vacated the goal. Scarlet Knights need a turnover here, and they get it. Stahanczyk comes up with the ball. Daniels on the clear. 11-8 with 1:47 to go.
Gorgeous over the head check by Stahanczyk. Now Rutgers is going to burn their final timeout. Watch Stahanczyk punch the sky with your backhand and then come over the top and down with your strong hand. Textbook over the head check, great power, gets it up off the floor and enables Rutgers to clear it and call a timeout.
Relieving Siracusa from the ball there. It's 11-8 Maryland. Folks, you can get all the news and highlights from around the conference on the big show. It's coming up next on Big Ten Network. Stahanczyk, who created 3 turnovers a weekend ago against Michigan, gets the ball back for Rutgers as we look at the way things shape up in the Big Ten.
Well, it's rivalry week next week. Rutgers travels to Happy Valley. Me and you will have that call on the Big Ten Network. Ohio State, Michigan. A lot of bad blood between those programs, a lot of intensity, both with losing records right now. Gigantic game. Jason Ross Jr., Greg Weiss will have the action, and you and I will be in College Park. Johns Hopkins, Maryland, maybe, just maybe, the #1 seed on the line for the Big Ten Men's Lacrosse Tournament.
Busy, busy. I look forward to double duty with you. Maryland without a goal in the 4th. That's only happened once where Maryland's been held without a goal in a quarter this season. It was Notre Dame, which ended Maryland's lengthy home field win streak. Long drive, Knobloch goes wide. Maryland trying to put an end to Rutgers' nation-leading 16 consecutive game home win streak. On the lead by 3 with less than 90 seconds to go. Scarlet Knights in the white. Ringer driving in against red. Ringer, no shooting angle. Push it for Ross Scott. He's the quarterback for Rutgers. Scott over the top, gets away from Knobloch. Time continues to tick, 70 seconds left. Knobloch behind the goal. Ringer working against red. Red keeps him to the outside. Wonderful defense by the short stick defensive midfielder.
Yeah, Maryland really locking it down on this defensive sequence.
Geppert doing his best. This is backhanded wide of the goal by Scott. Ross Scott, who knows his way around a lacrosse field and an ice hockey rink, taking a page from his hockey background there on the backhander.
And we've got a flag down. I think it's going to be a late hit on #1 in black, Brett Makar. I was following the ball, so I just saw the laundry come out.
Black 1, 1 minute, cross check, full time.
So it's a cross check, and it's going to be full time. And that's unlucky, as Ross Scott kind of fell down into Makar. He really didn't extend the arms that much. They're out right now. And Ross Scott goes into it. By definition, the hands are spread. It made contact to the head and neck area. That earns him a minute non-releasable in the
Ross
sin bin.
Scott, Mark, has a career-high 4 assists. Knobloch leans in and fires. Stop there, that rattle around the post off of Ruppel. And wide, it'll stay Rutgers ball with 37 seconds to go. The Scarlet Knights need 3. No time to dilly-dally here. Ringer and Knobloch on the outside. Cameron lets it go. Stabbed by the netminder, Ruppel. That should do it for Maryland.
He had to take that shot. You need your big guns. Knobloch, Cameron to fire away. He did. Credit Ruppel with the clean save.
Running away from Civetti now. Time ticks down to 12. Gibbons is going to launch this full field. All the way to Mullen, the senior who has a dozen stops. Kyle Mullen with time ticking away. That's it. The Maryland Terrapins have ended Rutgers' home field win streak at 16. The Terps take it down 11-8.
It was a dominant first quarter for Maryland on the offensive end. And in the fourth quarter, you've got to tip your cap to their defense and their goaltending, keeping Rutgers at bay to take another road victory back home to College Park.
John Tillman's Terps improved to 8-3 without scoring a goal in the fourth quarter. What impressed you the most?
The resiliency. You know, second weekend in a row on the road in hostile environment, big crowd. They were able to get the job done and finish.
For Mark Dixon, for all the men and women in our crew, Joe Beninati, thanks so much for your time. Maryland outlasts Rutgers. Coming up next on Big Ten Network, it's The Big Show. This has been a presentation of the Big Ten Network.